Well, here we are. It's time for the next monthly Q&A, and I know we're in a bit of a different spot from where we normally do the Q&As. Normally we do them over there on the futon setup, but unfortunately, usually I have my iPad to kind of read some of the questions from, but I wasn't able to get it to, I don't know, sync for some reason with my email, and it just wasn't getting the email so I could send myself the screenshots that I needed to of the questions. So now we're over here, and I have, I think, all the screenshots and questions pulled up over here, so we should be all good to go. But anyway, as always, if you want to be featured in the next Q&A, either keep your eyes posted up over on the community tab, because I always post up about a week in advance, just kind of letting you guys know, like, hey, I'm about to do a Q&A, so leave your questions here, or join the Discord server, because I'll let you guys know literally as soon as anything is happening over there. Or something new that I want to try is leave your questions in the comments of this video. Maybe that would be an easier way to get as many of you featured in the next one as possible. But regardless, we have a lot of questions to go through here, so I'm going to try to not do my usual thing where I linger on just one for too long. I'll still try to give an in-depth response, but again, we have a good bit to go through, so I'm gonna do my best. Actually, one last thing before we get into this, if you've missed some of the recent videos, I apologize if I still sound a little nasally. I don't think I sound as bad as I did in like the last two videos, but I can still tell I still sound just a little bit off. My allergies have been bugging me a bit, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better, so that's nice. Anyway, the first question comes from Trank, aka Double T Game Hustle. Definitely go check out his YouTube channel if you have not. That man is an absolute legend. That is like, it's my brother right there. But anyway, he asks, if you could live in any video game world / universe, which would it be? Hands down, Cyberpunk 2077. There's just something about that world, the people in that world. Now, don't get me wrong, there is obviously a lot of corruption in that world, but I don't know, man, there's just something about Cyberpunk where ever since the first time I played that game, I immediately got sucked into that world. I immediately got immersed in it, fell in love with it. Like, it felt just this otherworldly connection and relation to it. There is just something about the world of Cyberpunk that feels so alive, feels so real, and I would just love to live there. And I've said this before, but I also have a massive crush on Judy in that game. Now, it sucks because I know she doesn't swing that way, but hey, maybe after she meets me, sees my jawline, maybe there's a chance she'll go for me. I don't know. Who knows? The next question comes from Big Daddy Manny 44, who asks, what's your fondest memory from your childhood? So right off the dome piece here, it's one of those things where I do have a lot of fond memories from my childhood, so it would be hard for me to necessarily pick my fondest one, but, we'll just go with the one that comes to mind immediately, and that is the Christmas of I don't even know what year this would have been. It was Christmas morning. It was me and my brother, and essentially what had happened is my mom was seeing this one guy for a bit, so we had an Xbox 360 for a while, just as proxy of him having one. But obviously after they split and he moved out and all that, we were kind of Xbox 360 list for a couple of months, and I was fine with it. I was still playing on like the PS2 and stuff. I'm more than happy to play on the PS2 any time of the year, any year, whatever it is. But at the same time, I was obviously missing the 360 a bit. Being able to play like Black Ops 2 and stuff like that with my friends. It was one of those situations where I still had a lot of my games, Black Ops 2, MW3, and all that. I could look at the game cases, I just couldn't actually play them, but. Yeah, that Christmas morning, we opened up the Xbox 360 and immediately just looked at each other and started getting all giddy, started smiling, we're all excited, immediately pulled it out, plugged it in, and booted up a split screen match of Nocturne Toad No World of War. So, yeah, that is a very, very fond memory from my childhood. The next question comes from Cher, who asks, who or what inspired you to start doing YouTube? What's your favorite memory in recent times while making a video? So we'll cover the first part of this first, though. Who or what inspired you? See, that's hard. So I did have some like early inspirations of like videos that I watched back in the day, I guess, where I was like, oh wow, like creating videos, that looks like a lot of fun, but at the same time, like, even before YouTube was really a thing or popping off, because, I'm older than YouTube, because YouTube didn't come out till 05, and even then it didn't really start blowing up until like a couple years after that, towards the 2010s, so, it's just one of those things where ever since I was a, little kid, my mom even has still like all these like different videos and pictures and drawings and such, where I've always just been a creative person. I love to create, whether we're talking music, drawing, acting, or just like making videos and stuff. Like, I've always just been into that. Like, she still has videos from, oh gosh, I don't even know what year it would have been, sometime in the 2000s. I was still young, and I was always like reenacting scenes from like Kung Fu Panda, where I'd put like you guys know at the beginning of Kung Fu Panda when he's all dressed up in like his Dragon Warrior stuff with like the cape and the hat and all that, and like and his weapon and stuff, like I would literally like tie like a blanket around my neck, so then it looked like I have a cape, and put like a thing on my head and get like a rake so it looked like I had a like Japanese weapon and stuff like that. And as early as 2009, I remember like me and my cousins messing around and like making videos and post them into YouTube, and it was one of those things where we kept it a secret from our parents, because, you know, I'm sure they didn't want us doing it at the time, but, yeah, so, you know, there was those videos, which I'm sure have probably since been deleted, but again, that was back in, like, 2009, and then just throughout the 2010s, I was constantly making new YouTube channels, just, you know, wanting to make content, whether that be, you know, using my iPod Touch to record, literally just record the screen. Obviously, I didn't have a capture card at the time. I'll, you know, like, me and my buddy split screening, like, MW3 Survival, for example, or just making other videos of stuff like that, you know, trying to make, like, Minecraft Let's Plays, or just IRL videos like this, so, like, talking to the camera and stuff like that. Though, if I could point out some YouTubers that I loved watching, you know, ever since, like, the earliest days of the site, obviously, you know, everybody's seen those Smosh videos, as well as, like Force Fire 101. That was, like, one of my all-time most watched favorite YouTubers, constantly rewatching their content, watched him all the time back in the day, and he still makes content to this day, which is awesome. Essentially, he makes, like, stop motion Lego videos. My favorite ones are, like, the Lego Batman ones especially, but he also made a lot of live action stuff that I loved, like the Zombie Universe videos and the Craig series. The Craig series is one of those where, like, for somebody like me that's a bit older, the humor doesn't really, like, I don't know, stick out to me as being wrong or offensive in any way, but I could see that series in particular maybe just being offensive to some of the snowflakes online nowadays, but who cares? That series was always a lot of fun, and yeah, I don't know, it was such a different time for YouTube, and that's the essence that I try to recapture with my channel. It's just one of those things where I do have some inspirations and people that I watched back then. Obviously, then you have, like, all the Call of Duty YouTubers and stuff back in the day. Like, I love watching, like, Ali A and Syndicate, and then once, you know, like, FaceJab started coming around, I loved watching, like, his Rage Tages. And then, like, later on, I started watching Merc Music around, like, 2014. So I watched a lot of those Call of Duty creators back in the day, and then also just, you know, a lot of the other obvious ones, like, you know, Sky Does Minecraft or Stampy. I hate when I'm feeling under the weather because my memory kind of starts to fail me a bit. Like, there's obviously other creators that I'm forgetting to mention, but those are just, like, some of the ones that, you know, kind of come to my head at the moment. But, yeah, you know, because the gameplay YouTubers didn't come till a bit later. Like, they were always there, but the gameplay side of YouTube didn't really start blowing up really until the late 2000s, early 2010s especially. So, yeah, you know, a lot of my inspirations for YouTube really were just from those early days of people doing fun stuff like those stop motion videos or the live action videos or skits or stuff like that. And, again, like I was saying before, that's kind of like the main thing that I've always wanted to do with this channel, just kind of harken back to those original days of, hey, you know, I don't care about views or this, that, or the other. I'm just here to make fun content, have a fun time, and hopefully help some of you have a better day or smile or laugh in some way or just entertain you somehow. And then her second question, what's your favorite memory of recent times while making a video? Man, that's hard. See, for me, because I just have fun making every video, you know what I mean? So, man, this is gonna sound completely random, but when I was playing the Fall Guys Custom Zombies map on Black Ops 3, and I got so mad that I punched my keyboard. I don't know why that memory sticks out in my mind, but it was just like, I don't know, it was just one of those, like, off-the-cuff random moments where I genuinely lost control, and I ended up, like, messing up one of the keys on my keyboard, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, I'm not proud of the fact that I got so mad at something so silly and punched my keyboard and ended up breaking one of my keys. Thankfully, it's a key that I literally never use, and there's 2 of the plus keys on the keyboard, so it's not even like it matters that much. But, you know, again, it's just one of those situations of, like, hey, that broken spot on my keyboard now forever is like a scar or a memory of some goofy thing that happened, and with it now there is a story to be told. You know what I mean? That's the way that I've always looked at stuff in life. It's like, with every scar there's a story, whether it be good or bad, and that's one of those scars where it's like, hey, that's just something goofy and kind of quirky that happened. So while it may not be like a favorite memory that happened in recent times, it's just something where I can look at it and be like, hey, that's something that sticks out in my mind that happened recently. The next question comes from What the Flip Man, literally like one of my #1 supporters here on the channel. Just gonna give a massive shout out to What the Flip Man. If you see him down in the comments, I don't know, drop a heart emoji below his comment, because this is a real one. He's here watching the videos, commenting every single night. What the Flip Man, absolute legend. But they ask, what is your favorite and least favorite Call of Duty Zombies maps? So, here's the thing. I've said this before, the Call of Duty Zombies maps are like my children. I cannot choose between them, but what I can do is pick out some of my most played and least played maps. So, if I had to pick a least played map, oh man, what I mean, I don't even know where to go from there, because, like, I've played every map so much. If we're gonna stick to do we stick to the Black Ops games, or maybe do we go, like, outside of that to the other games as well? Because even then, I've played all the other ones so much. How about this? Let's just go with my most played and least played maps. My most played map would be Origins, and by proxy, I guess you could say that that would be my favorite, but again, I really can't pick them. That's just the one where I played it a lot with my friends back then, and I have a lot of fond memories pulling all-nighters, trying to do the Easter egg, this, that, or the other with it, so that's, like, my most played map. So by proxy, I guess you could kind of say maybe technically my favorite just because I gravitate towards it so much, but again, I really can't pick. And then least favorite, I guess I'd have to pick least played, and if we're going off of that, I'd probably have to say Shangri-La and BO1, but even then, like, I played that map a lot. It's just if I had to pick one map that I played the least, that's probably the one that I played the least, but I put so many hours into it as is, and then once it came back in BO3 and Zombies Chronicles, I played it, like, a ton then, too, so I guess if I had to pick one where it's like, okay, I played it the least, or it's just one that I gravitate to not as much as some of the other ones when I'm looking to play a game of zombies, maybe Shang, but even then, I love that map to death, so that's the best you're gonna get from me, man. I love COD Zombies too much to even think about talking negatively about it. The next question comes from Pixter4900, who asks, what are your thoughts on cosmetic pricing in COD? Too much, too little, or just right? There's two answers to this. So, in terms of a free-to-play game, which Call of Duty technically is with Warzone, I think it's just right. And in terms of a premium $70 to $100 title, depending on which edition you pre-order, but we'll be generous and say $70 since that is only the cost of the base game, it is definitely too much. A skin should not cost a third of the game, so really how I think they should do things going forward, or maybe something they could consider, is if you buy the premium edition of the game, you get a coupon of 50% off for the first 3, 4, maybe 5 bundles that you purchase, or maybe you have a permanent, you know, like discount on bundles, whether that be like 33, 50%, 50% might be too much for them, but like 25, 33% off, you know, if you buy the, you know, like the premium full title for $70, I feel like that would be a fair trade-off there, or just something, some sort of incentive to use in the shop. I mean, obviously, if you pre-order, like, the Vault Edition, you get, like, the Black Soul Battle Pass and, you know, all these COD points and stuff like that, but, you know, again, you still kind of have to technically pay extra for that, even if you are getting more than what you normally would by getting the Vault Edition of the game, but yeah, in terms of a free-to-play game, it's right on par with the pricing in terms of the skins, you know, when you compare to, like, Fortnite, Apex Legends, or whatever, but, yeah, when you're looking at it as a premium title, definitely too much. Because I'll come right out and say right now, like, if the skins were cheaper in the game, like, only $5, $10 at absolute most, $10 would be like, okay, maybe I'll buy it, but, like, around the 5 to 10 mark, then I'd actually buy more bundles, but I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I spent money on a bundle. The only times that I've gotten bundles in the last couple years is because I have so many, like, you know, because when you buy a battle pass, you get like 300 extra COD points per battle pass, so you have enough to put towards the next one, and then 300 to go into your reserve, and I just, you know, save them up over time, and once I have enough for a bundle and I see one that I like, then I'll snag it. But otherwise, I haven't spent a single money on a bundle since Cold War, and even then, the only one I spent money on was Ghostface, and that was just because that week I remember I'd gotten a bigger check, because I think I was either working at Culver's or Subway at the time, and that week I was able to get some more hours in, and I was like, you know what, they just put Ghostface in the game, let me go ahead and pick that up. So yeah, that was like the one time where I bought a bundle, but other than that, yeah, no, I don't know, especially with how expensive they are. I feel like, again, if they could give some sort of incentive to the people that pay for the full game, that would be nice, but otherwise, yeah. So now we're jumping over to the YouTube comment section, and once again, this one coming from What the Flip Man, who asks, if all your possessions were destroyed in an accident, and after years of hard work, you were able to rent a place where you can finally play a video game after many years of not being able to do so, what video game would you choose to make you feel like a kid again? I have two answers to this. So my first answer would probably be Donkey Kong Country on the SNES, just because I've said this so many times before, but just in case anybody hasn't heard it before, my first vivid memory from my life is playing Donkey Kong Country on the SNES when I was 3 years old, you know, sitting right up in front of the box TV, you know, the CRT with the SNES controller and SNES right in front of me with the cartridge and everything like that. Just, pure nostalgia vibes right there. So probably that one to really make me feel like a kid again, just to really get that true, like, fresh start feeling. But the other one I would point to would be Resident Evil 4 on the PS2 specifically, just because, again, that's the one that I grew up with. And yeah, you know, Resident Evil 4 is literally my favorite game of all time. So, you know, just popping that game in, playing it, even to this day, you know, especially just like holding the PS2 controller, playing that version of the game, it really takes me back in a way that I can't explain. Like, sure, playing the newer versions of RE4, like, not even just the remake, but just like the, you know, the HD versions of it, of like PS4 and Xbox One and stuff. Like, you know, it's cool playing the HD version, but when you go back and play the originals on like PS2 or GameCube or whatever, especially for me, again, the PS2 version specifically, I don't know, it just hits different and takes me back in a way that I can't explain. So that would also probably be my other choice, but I don't know. It would come down to one of those two. The next question comes from Miguel Q. Smith. Is that how you say it? Miguel? I've always just said Miguel. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. And now looking at it, it might be Miguel, Migel, I don't know. Anyway, they ask, if a SOG was a melee weapon in BO6, how would you feel? I'd be happy. So, Miguel Q. Smith coming in with the SOG questions once more, and if a SOG was a melee weapon in BO6, I would love that. So, if you guys ever watch iCarly before, maybe they could do something, you know, like in that show with the whole butter sock thing where you throw a stick of butter in the sock and they have like an inspect animation where you like open up the sock and then it shows your character like putting the butter in and then you like whip it around a little bit and then get it ready, and then you can like, maybe it could have like an ADS feature to where like, so normally you just walk up and kind of like smack him if you do a normal melee, but if you hold ADS down, your character kind of does the whole animation thing, gets its hands up, and then you can like throw it at him like an Indiana Jones whip, and then like, I don't know, either like smack him in the face with it, or maybe it could be like a cool execution thing where like the butter sock kind of like gets wrapped around their leg and you like yank them down and they smash their face into the floor and die that way. I don't know. Either that, or maybe if they just want to, you know, just make it like a sock puppet where you just put a sock over your hand and just go up and punch him like that. I mean, that'd be cool too. The next question comes from iDiatol. Again, this is one of those things where some of the usernames might appear differently for you guys, but for me, I just see the handles. Like, I don't see their actual display username. I see their ads because there's two different YouTube usernames. I don't know. Anyway, so this one coming from iDiatol. They ask, thoughts on what you've seen of Black Ops 6? Well, I take it this comment definitely came in before the beta went live, but now after playing the beta, yeah, Black Ops 6 is perfect. October 25th needs to get here ASAP. I am in love with the beta. I hit the max rank like literally the same day the beta came out, but I've just been playing it for fun since then, like non-stop, between shrieking out, leveling up different weapons, experimenting with different weapon builds and score streaks, and just, you know, messing around, having a fun time on the map, you know, on the maps, sniping and stuff like that. And just yesterday, from the time you're recording this, they brought back Face Off 6v6 from Cold War, which we'll be making a video on tomorrow because that's really cool. They brought 2 new maps in the game, Gala and Pit, and man, yeah, Black Ops 6 is literally, like, perfect. October 25th is one day before my birthday, so I mean, like, hey, it's like the universe giving me, like, a one-day early birthday gift this year, and I could not be happier. The next question comes from KevT5603, who asks, would you rather have a new Red Dead Redemption game like RDR3, or have a new Resident Evil game, not a remake? I would say, okay, so here's the thing. I'm probably going to say a new Resident Evil game, and, man, you know, this is hard because, like, there already is so many Resident Evil games, but at the same time, Resident Evil is kind of, like, one of my favorite game franchises of all time, but Red Dead Redemption is as well. But, yeah, see, here's the thing. Yeah, so I'd probably have to say Resident Evil, and it's for this one factor. So while we've only had really 2 Red Dead Redemption games, as well as, you know, like the standalone DLC to Red Dead Redemption 1 and stuff, it's one of those situations where with Resident Evil, there's a lot of places that they can take the story at, whether they reboot it or expand on what's already there. Preferably, I'd, you know, want them to just expand on what's already there because there's a lot to expand on yet. Whereas with Red Dead Redemption, I don't know, there's something about those games where even after the first game, I felt more than satisfied. That could have been a one and done standalone game, and that would have just been like, all right, chef's kiss, masterpiece, that's that. And then they brought out RDR2, and it was like, okay, you know what? I'm actually really glad that they did it. So, you know, chef's kiss, masterpiece, like, this is beautiful. But now it's at that point where, like, you know, if they would bring out an RDR3, I'm not denying, like, yeah, sure, I guarantee it would be like a chef's kiss masterpiece. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't feel like I need that RDR3. Like, yes, I want it, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of places that I want to see where the Resident Evil franchise goes. Whereas with Red Dead Redemption, between 1 and 2, I just look at those, it's like those masterpieces in a frame that they are, and I'm just like, yeah, You know, like those are just perfect the way that they are. And I'm not saying that Resident Evil isn't, because, you know, Resident Evil, I freaking love that franchise. Again, I was just saying, it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. But it's one of those situations where it's just like, not every game needs to be a long-running franchise or series. And I mean, again, if they would put out an RDR3, I would absolutely love that. But at the same time, I just feel like there's a lot of places that me and other Resident Evil fans are waiting to see where that series goes. Whereas with like RDR, it's just like you look at it, you play 1 and 2, and you're like, alright, I'll revisit this one in a couple of years. And then you just kind of, again, just kind of leave it in your mind in that masterpiece frame of like, man, those are 2 incredible video games. You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Then the next question comes from Project Notorious, who asks, are you going to play GTA 6 on the channel, and what are your thoughts on the trailer so far? So I will be playing the online component on the channel. I do plan to do that, but when it comes to single player games, I'll just kind of, you know, spill this tea real quick. I don't like playing single player games on the channel in terms of my first time playing a game. So if I've already played a game, I'll make videos on it, or if it's the type of game that would, you know, like making videos on it wouldn't affect the content, like say, oh, I don't, man, actually, it's kind of hard to think of like certain games like that, but I don't know, just certain games that I can think of, maybe like some roguelites or roguelikes, for example, like games like that can be pretty good for just kind of making content on it. It can be fun, kind of funny watching the person making the video like die over and over again or one thing or another. Just other games similar to that where making videos at the same time as playing it doesn't really affect the experience in one way or another, but even then, I don't know, I'm the type of guy where I like to experience things on my own time, because once you get the bright LEDs going, once you get the camera on, once you get the mic on, and you have to consciously think about being entertaining, you have to consciously, like, I don't know, keep track of all the stuff while you're recording, it's just, it does take you out of the game, whereas when I'm just playing on my own time, I got my surround sounds on, I'm truly escaping, and I'm fully immersed into that world, and that's one of the main reasons I play video games, you know, I don't want to think about reality, I want to forget about real life, I don't want to be in the physical world, I spend as much of my time in the physical world trying to escape into the digital world just because I don't want to be in this physical world. I want to be in the digital world. I want to be there with the characters, experiencing the story. I want to be there with the people in the game, with the characters, in that story, experiencing it. I want to be there. So that's why it's pretty hit or miss as to like what games I'll actually play on the channel, because again, when it comes to single player stuff, that's just kind of one thing. But, you know, for other games that are more like online or multiplayer focused, or, you know, something like Minecraft where, you know, there's not necessarily like a story or whatever, or it's one of those games where you could play it, you know, by yourself or on video and it wouldn't make much of a difference either way, then I'll make videos on it. So TLDW, yeah, I'll make videos on the online section of GTA 6, but the single player I'm gonna, you know, do my own time just to experience it, truly get immersed and lost in that world and that story. And then thoughts on the trailer so far, obviously we only have one, but from what we saw of it, I mean, it looks like a GTA game, right? You know, like parodying the real life stuff, and as somebody that has lived in Florida for 4 years now, I wish I didn't have to say that, but it's true. I must say that the trailers are honestly pretty spot on with what you can expect from visiting Florida. And yeah, it looks goofy and quirky in all the best ways, and all the ways that you would expect a GTA game to be. And yeah, again, it's looking like a GTA game in all the best ways possible. I'm super excited for it. It's probably going to be coming out, I'd expect, like second half sometime of next year. And yeah, man, it's gonna break the sales charts. GTA 6 is literally going to be a historic release, and not just video game history, but like just media, period. The next question comes from my stepdad, who asks, if you could play a video game with one person, who would it be and what game? Ooh, wow, that's actually, ooh, I never thought about this one. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say that you know, it doesn't matter what Mario game it would be, just like any of the Mario games that have co-op, so like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, or like Super Mario 3D World, just one of those more laid-back Marios that have two-player, I would love to play that with Shigeru Miyamoto, and I would just love to pick his brain and just let him talk. Like, you know, I'd ask questions here and there, but for the most part, I would just want to know everything that man has to say. What was it like, you know, like creating all these different Nintendo characters, working at Nintendo for all of these years, creating all these games, being involved in all these projects, Nintendo's expansion outside of video games down to like movies and museums and amusement parks and stuff like that. I would just love to hear that man talk about the history of Nintendo and literally anything else that he would have to say. Like, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for that man. So if I had to pick one person to play a game with, it would be Shigeru Miyamoto, any of the Mario games with co-op, and I would just love to sit there and listen to that man talk. And then the last question comes from my mom, who asked, what would you do if you woke up tomorrow and had $1 billion in your account? What would you use the money for? Okay, so let's go through this. I would pay off all of my siblings, like, college fees if they want to go to college, but even then, even if they think right now that they don't want to, I'd still just put the money aside just in case they change your mind. I'd also pay off, like, basically, like, you know, for $1 billion, I'd pay off any, like, fees or set aside enough money for them to just be set for their lives. Getting houses, cars, you know, like, insurance, health fees, whatever. Just set aside all the money that needs to be for that, and then hopefully there would still be money left after that. I mean, who knows with inflation, right? Maybe $1 billion wouldn't be enough for one person in a couple years. And then after that, I'd worry about paying off whatever debts my mom might have or other fees that she would need as well, you know, any money for that. Basically just make sure my family's all secured. And then after that, oh man, I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know what to do with the money after that. I mean, obviously I love buying video games, so I'd probably, you know, buy some video games. I don't know, you know, one of the fun things about video game collecting is the fact that, you know, like, I'm not gonna, obviously I'm not rich or anything like that, you know, I make enough money to survive and stuff like that, but, you know, I'm not rich or anything, but, you know, one of the fun things about game collecting is, like, budgeting and being like, alright, I have enough money to get this game this week, or this device this week, or if I save long enough, I can get this thing that I need, and then you're gonna kind of budget, save up for it, and get it. Man, with that much money, I don't know, that much money just seems overwhelming and takes out the budgeting fun of life. You know, that's probably gonna sound like I'm being, like, sarcastic or joking, but no, like, I don't like having too much money. I've never really been at that point before where I feel like I have too much money or whatever, but, like, even at points where I have even, like, 100 or 200 more than what I actually need at the moment, it just starts to get I don't know, money, I guess it's just because I always grew up poor, but money's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, it almost makes me feel gross, just because there's, like, such a weird stigma around money nowadays, and there's always people wanting it, and, like, people judging you and your value based off of this paper currency, or nowadays this digital currency that literally doesn't exist because it's just in a digital bank. I don't know, just, I don't even know what I'd do with the money at that point. Probably just save it for, you know, like, the successors in my family, like my siblings' kids, because I'm never gonna have kids. I don't want a wife or girlfriend or anything like that. Like, I want to be single till the day I die. I don't want kids or anything like that, so I guess I'd save it for, like, my siblings' kids. Maybe just one of those things that could be passed on through the family. I'd also like to donate a good portion of that to charity if possible, just depending on how much money's left. You know, donating into things that research, like, you know, treatments for, like, ADHD, OCD, PTSD, a lot of the stuff that I struggle with personally, just because, like, I know what it's like to live with that stuff. I'd also like to invest a lot of that into cancer research. And then at the end of all that, if I have any money left after all the donations and taking care of my family, which, again, with, like, inflation and all the prices, I mean, I'm not equipped to do all the mental math right now, so, I mean, I don't know. Then after that, then I'd worry about, like, you know, maybe getting myself a couple things on the side. Cause, hey, if you have that much money, you might as well get yourself at least a little something, right? If you have that much money, you did something to earn it. So, you know, reward yourself a little bit. But, yeah, you wouldn't see me driving around like a Lamborghini or buying a mansion or, you know, doing anything too crazy. I'd go to my retro store, maybe, you know, buy a couple games there and stuff like that. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. That's too much money for one man. But anyways, that is all the questions that we got this time. I feel like I did a pretty good job, you know, not lingering on one question for too long, but also, you know, still being rather in-depth about everything. So anyways, yeah, like I said before, if you want to be featured in the next Q&A, either just leave your questions in the comments of this video, or keep your eyes posted on the community tab, or join the Discord server, because I'll let you guys know literally immediately as soon as anything is happening over there. And, yeah. But anyway, as always, smash shout out, thank you to all the Patrons and channel members, thank you to all the low ball tier, and shout out, thank you to all the big ball tier, but asking me to animate in this on G tier, but eventually, let's just thank you guys so much, you guys are literal legends. I love you. Koroni to Toki Rigato, because I must have an amazing day, stay beautiful, I love you all. Peace.